real quick, and yeah, this is stats. So we've had 73 sessions as to date. We've had 108 guest speakers, including this one today. We've had 352 members land jobs, and we are now at 3,000 plus members on LinkedIn, and that number is still rising. Again, that is a milestone. Congratulations to everybody here at AHF, and particularly Danny. We love him, and this is his vision. This is what his heart looks like, and that's what this is. This is the fruit of that particular seed, and it's the fruit is very, very good. All right. So without further ado, it is my pleasure to introduce Cheryl Santiago, certified executive coach, TEDx speaker, and founder of the Zinnia Coaching and Consulting. Cheryl brings nearly 25 years of federal and corporate experience where she advised senior leaders and helped organizations hire and develop top talent. She has personally interviewed and hired close to 1,000 professionals, and she understands the challenges job seekers face, from navigating uncertainty to communicating their value with confidence. Coaching since 2010, Cheryl has combined her deep industry expertise with a human-centered coaching style, and that helps people get clear on their strengths, tell their story, and pursue the roles that align with their goals. She also extends her impact through volunteer service with organizations dedicated to strengthening families and communities. So please welcome, if you all will, Cheryl Santiago. Have the floor.
Thank you so much for the introduction, Adam, and I'm so excited to be here. I will say a little bit of background on my journey to this organization. The end of last year, I met a gentleman at a restaurant opening in Chicago, and his name is John Fedorin. And I overheard him talking about jobs and careers, and whenever I hear that, I perk up. So we ended up in a conversation. I heard a little bit about his story, and he goes, I'm at part of this organization called, AHF. And I'm like, I've never heard of that. And then after he shared a little bit about it, I said, I would absolutely love to speak. And it's taken almost 6, 7, 8 months to get here. And I'm very excited to be here. As part of my background research, I looked at some of the YouTube videos, and there have been some really impressive speakers. And I said, well, what can I offer the audience, right? And I'm going to tell you a little bit about how I got into coaching. Back about 15, 16 years ago, I was not a career coach, but I did have an adult daughter who was not finding a job. She had been looking for over a year. She was in the nonprofit industry, and the industry dipped, it went down. And you know how kids are, they don't want their parents to help them with anything. So I left her alone for a while. But then I heard her do a job interview, a virtual one, through her bedroom door. And I remember thinking, oh my God, no wonder she's not finding a job, because she is horrible at interviewing. She had a brilliant resume. She has the education. She's really smart, but her interview skills were lacking. So I decided I got to help her out because she'll never move out of the house. So I got her, I was her network. I got her an interview at a consulting firm where I used to work with a friend, and she went on the interview. Not only did she not get the job, not only did she get the job, she doubled her income. She moved out of the house. She bought a house in DC. I'm in the DC metro area. 3 years later, she sold that house, and before she was 30, she was so well positioned than I ever was during my career. And I saw the power of helping with career coaching and advancing in your career. So, with that being said, for my slides today, I did do slides. One of the reasons I did slides, I wanted to have more conversational time here, but I wanted to leave you guys with information from the slides. And throughout my career in career coaching, I started with interview boot camp. And then I said, well, people are having issues with their resumes. And then I said, well, people have issues with understanding what they want to do. And being the consultant that I am, I created a framework, and I backed it way up to understanding first what you want before you put yourself out there. So with that, I'm going to share my slides. And let's see, make sure I got the screen. Okay, if you guys could confirm with a thumbs up that you can see my slides. Okay, great, great. And I have it on the big screen, so I'm going to be looking off to the side every now and then as I go through them. So I have a framework and I have steps that you walk through, and I think they're important, right? The magic is walking through from the beginning all the way to the offer. The focus of my career coaching has been to increase salary because that's how I started with my daughter. And throughout my career, I would say the biggest jump in salary I had over multiple jobs in a 6-year period, I quintupled my income. And the reason I did that is because I realized early in my career, I found myself going through divorce. My 3 kids were like 3, 4, and 5. I made 40% of the income and I panicked because Mama Bear, I was like, I don't want to end up on the street. So I was working for a defense contractor with a 2-year degree in fashion merchandising, right? So picture that. So I said, we need to do something. So I literally studied my career and did many things to advance my career, ultimately being successful financially. So I learned a lot then. As I coach, I've been coaching over the last 15 years, I've learned a lot. And if I leave you with nothing, the key to finding your next job is people, right? You can do all the things, but the key is people. And today's job market is kind of crazy. We've never really been here before, but I want to say there are jobs, there are opportunities, there are opportunities for you to use your skills. It's just a matter of the connection. And I have today's job market's different, how to adjust, 5 steps to landing work worthy of your time. I like to flip the script with my clients. When somebody's looking to fill a position, they're in a position of need. Typically, if they don't have that role filled, other people are working and filling the gap. So they often want you more than you want them. So I want to change the mindset of when you go for an interview and when you engage. So let's go. Before we begin, this is going to sound familiar. Some steps will. You may have done parts of this. I know being as part of this organization, you've heard from experts in every step of the way, but there's something in the magic of starting with the steps and going through the steps because they build, right? They build on each other. Um, the methods work best in sequence. Skipping a step may cost you a time, right? If you do the application and your resume is perfect, but you haven't updated your LinkedIn, it could work against you because a recruiter, first thing they do is they look at your online presence. Your results will reflect your efforts. I know it's tedious and resumes are tedious and LinkedIn is tedious. It's tedious for me as well. But I offer pace yourself because burnout is real when you're looking for a job. Your commitment to the steps will pay off eventually. So these are the 5 steps that I found that are important to pay attention to. With the first one is gaining clarity. And I may do analogies to dating because they fit so well. So for the first one, gaining clarity, if you're single and you're in the dating market, if you don't have an understanding of what you want and what works for you, you will get whatever that person has to give you. The same thing for companies, right? So gaining clarity before you move, take a look at your skills, take a look at what you have. Often we really don't even know all the things that we have to offer. When I do a resume with clients, it's like telling a story, right? And I'm always finding aha moments where they're like, well, I just do that. It's not a big deal. I'm like, actually, it is to an employer. All that you bring to the table, all your skills are worthy. Once you have that understanding, you can then target the market for the people who are interested in you, right? Do a little bit of research. Once you've done those 2 things, you know your worth, you know what you have to offer, then you can start to build, I call it your brand, because nowadays with social media, we have all become brands, pretty much. Not like the old days. I've been working for quite a few years. So in building your brand, I offer, it includes LinkedIn, it includes everything that's out there that's searchable. So think about that when you do your brand, not just your resume, not just your LinkedIn. If you're in a more technical field, you may have YouTube videos out there that you've been in. Think about your total presence. Strategize, work smart. And I'm going to say here again, the key here is people. But if you do these steps and your brand and your marketing materials are ready, you're out at a networking event, somebody goes, great, shoot me your resume. You don't want to go home and start tweaking your resume at that point. And then around midnight, when your eyes are crossed, you're like, oh my God, it's a lot. Ace the interview. This is where I started with career coaching. Again, people. I call an interview the most unnatural human interaction where you're put in on screen or in a room with somebody and they're like, great, sell yourself. And people choke. The negotiation, I love negotiating always, 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 always negotiate, even in this market. People don't post, just like with a house, people will post their house high, but they'll sell it low. People will post the job, it's in the reverse. So they will give you a number, but always negotiate a little bit, right? And there's a lot of steps about the number that you come up with yourself because they will always ask you for a range. And we know if you give a range, they're going to give you 5 to 10,000 below your lowest number, and then the negotiation begins. And it's always by phone, it's never written. So let's go to the next step here. So clarity, digging a little bit into this, talked a lot about it before. Define your target role. So I'm kind of quirky. I looked on LinkedIn, and I will study LinkedIn profiles. I'll see a leader in a company, and I'm like, how did they get there? This person who is an expert in AI has an English degree. How did that happen? Right. So I study careers because that gives me hope. I'm like, well, I actually have a degree in IT. Maybe I can do that because job searching is all about embodying your worth. So that would be encouraging. Um, Audit your values. So this is know what you want, right? It's you negotiate on more than just money, right? You're looking at putting your expertise, your education, all those years you've worked, and a lot of hours for a company. So you think more in terms of what do you want from them? Because I'm trying to shift that mindset. Transferable skills, right? So I went from fashion to defense radar systems to management consulting IT to doing managing committees at the White House, right? My career is not logical. It truly is not logical. So I'm like the master of transferable skills. Unless you're like a brain surgeon, most jobs you can start. Again, that English degree, and now they're an AI expert, you can reinvent yourself. Like, don't count yourself out. Never count yourself out. And then set your non-negotiables, right? I have a little formula as far as negotiating money. You have your own three numbers in your head, and that bottom number is, I need this number to eat. You never share that number, right? You always go up a little bit. And there's a calculation that I share with my clients on how to get to that right number, but it also involves a lot of research with the company and what's going on in the industry and what they will pay. If you skip this step, you'll go out there, your resume might be disjointed, your messaging might be disjointed. When you get that first call from the recruiter, your messaging is not clear. They look at your LinkedIn and they're like, I don't know. It comes across as inauthentic, and I'm really big on being authentic. And I have some stats in here. 72% of job seekers apply without clearly defined target role, right? Think about that. And I will offer this. Most job descriptions are poorly written. So you got to dig between the bullets to really try to figure out what they want. And the next, build your brand. So your brand, like I mentioned before, we are all brands now. Everything out there on social media is a brand. Pay attention to your LinkedIn. You go back and forth, like how much stuff do you put in your LinkedIn and do you make it bare? Full transparency, I was Doge twice last year, right? At the end of my career. The second Doge was in November. So I have been following these steps. I have also been updating my job search based on today's environment. And I'm telling you, it's heavy presence in person. Everything free you can go to, show up, show up with the attitude. There's so many people looking. Even go for coffee at the same place every day. Just get out of the house and connect with people. But understanding your brand, your resume is important, right? Your LinkedIn profile is important. Caution here, make sure they match. Like the dates. I've had clients, not only did they not match in dates, they didn't even match in the description. And that comes across as inauthentic. And it sounds like a simple thing, but make sure they're aligned. The elevator pitch. So I call my Okay, I call myself the awkward introvert. I'm a true introvert, right? So me going out and talking to people, I'm not that surface conversation person, right? But you develop techniques on how to engage. And you don't start off, well, I'm this and I've done that and I'm looking. You might just stuff off just casual conversation, right? Because people want casual conversation and to engage. I have a whole lot on networking that I share with my clients, but I'm going to keep going. Digital footprint, pay attention. We're all out there. Google your name. There's a lot out there about you may not even know about. And that's important. If you skip this step, um, you miss the opportunity to call in the people we want because now we all have to be marketers in our careers. So let me go to the next slide. So here's some stats. Strategize your search, work smart, night hard. I'm going to say people, 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 connection, connection. Get up, get out, go talk to somebody. In my path to look for my next role, I go to all the free conferences. I take all invites. I will say that at least 50% of the time, I'm getting leads. I'm getting leads. But interestingly enough, I'm getting fractional work, but they're leads. What you do is not always needed by a company, right? The nature of work is changing. Um, I have a, I have probably more work than I can handle, right? But I am now working fractionally with multiple companies because of what I do. And my background is kind of broad. I do IT strategy planning, career coaching, IT, road mapping. My career is I've done a lot. Um, so 70 to 80% of jobs they say are filled through networking. I'm in the DC metro area, and I think that it's even higher than that, right? As a hiring manager, we definitely preferred somebody walking a resume in, but over just going out into the market because it was scary because it takes a lot of time for hiring managers to sort through resumes and to interview people. And they're never quite sure. They much prefer to have a referral or somebody through a network, or if there's a connection, oh, you know this person, their value is increased in the eyes of that hiring manager. um cold job boards, why not? But it's less than 2%. So my theory is put less than 2% of your effort there, right? Put most of your effort in real people. Like, get out of the house is what I say. Even when you don't feel like it, when you've been looking for a job 5, 6, 7 months, a year, because this job market is actually crazy right now. Get out of the house. There's a whole network of how you find that job, and it's through conversations and people that you meet. So keep going. Ace your interview. So this is how I started career coaching, right? Interview boot camp. Poor thing, I started with my daughter, and I wasn't a career coach at that point, but I teased out all the challenges that she had. She had the resume, she had the experience, really bright, but she choked on interviews. In her situation, she just over talked, right? There's certain things you do during an interview. Your goal, once you get to this point, I need you guys to know the manager is so happy to get to this point because somebody's been doing that work all along and they have a gap in their company. So when they get that person in, they are secretly hoping, I hope this is the one. I have been there. I've been the hiring manager. I've interviewed over 1,000 people. And I remember one specific role when I was working at Booz Allen, we had to fill a really specific niche, right? It's hard to describe it. After we interviewed that person, he went through a few rounds with me and my manager and a coworker. We all went into a room, closed the door, and said, thanks. We think this is the one. So hiring managers really want to fill the role. When the role is empty, they're doing the work. The rest of the team is doing the work. So there is a motivation to get that right person in there so they can accomplish their mission goals in their company. So um, the interview, I know it typically is difficult for most people. Like, I am an extreme introvert. Yeah. So I have loads of tips on the interview. There's star stories. That's good. If you can find out the style of interview that company does before you go in and do your research, that will help better prepare you. Because star interviews are kind of tedious, but have your stories ready. But most of the time, people are looking for a connection within the first few minutes, people kind of know whether they're going to hire the person or not. And it's kind of a personality, right? Before your interviews, do all you can to prep. Look up the interviewers on LinkedIn. Look at their LinkedIn profiles. Get a feel for the people you're going to be talking to, because their personalities comes through, right? So that's a tip there. I'm going to keep going. The gaps, right? So it's really important to follow the process from the beginning to the end, right? You don't want to throw a resume out there and it's just not aligned with what you really want to do. Um, so 72% after step one, no clear target, right? Um, People are unfocused. It's important to follow the steps along. After step two, inconsistent brand. We're all brands now. Like, we have social media, we're online. Everything should look consistent. One of the things I do is I actually study LinkedIn profiles, because that's what I do. And I can tell a story. I can tell why a person switched. I can see the story behind what's in there, and I can tell what's happened. It's just the thing that I do. Um, and it's important to have somebody else look at your resume, look at your LinkedIn. Even me, I have to have somebody looked at my materials. Um, so I want to keep going because I want to save time for questions. But interviewing is a big deal, right? There's all kinds of interviews. It behooves you to understand how that company interviews. I will say that, I don't know, I'm going to throw out a number. 80% of the people interviewing you are not skilled interviewers. And there's different types of interviews. There's first a recruiter interview. That's a pulse check. Do you have the requirements? And then you move to the hiring manager. He's saying, like, does this person really have what's on their resume? A few questions. And then they want to do the team check, right? Bring in other people to see if this person's going to be a fit for the team. Each interview has a purpose, right? Um, my thing on an interview is listen, be comfortable if you can. The biggest mistake I see with people, they are very tense and they don't really listen to the question that's asked, right? And they may over prepare, right? The preparation you do when you're going into interview, understand the culture of the company, look at some LinkedIn profiles, see the people that they hire, get a feel for the culture of the company. And if you can understand, do they do kind of relaxed, open-ended question interview versus like a STAR method, get all the intel you can, right? Um, and try to relax. It's like the most unnatural interaction between two people. It's like, here we go, sell yourself. And people tend to choke, right? So I would say, from a mindset, go into that interview not tied to the outcome, not desiring this job, right? If you could just embody that, you could probably be more of yourself. And my advice is to be more of yourself, because you want to make sure you're a fit for this role. You are interviewing them as well. You're going to give a lot of your time, a lot of your energy, all of the years of your experience, your education, all you've done, you're bringing this to the company for a fee. So it's kind of a two-way interview as well. And I know interviews can be very scary. So negotiating an offer worthy of your time. This I love negotiation, because, as I mentioned before, I like quintuple my income in a 6-year period of time. So know as much as you can about the person on the other end of the negotiation. Never, ever, I'm gonna repeat, ever share what you've ever made. It is none of their business. It is proprietary information for the company you're working for. Don't share what you're making. And understand what your skill sets bring on the market. And that's what you set your salary at, right? So it's only about what you want. And I go deep into the negotiation, obviously, because I could double my income in 6 years, because I was grossly underpaid. But then I entered into a high paid category, and I'm thinking, in a 6-year period, my worth did not quintuple. It's just that I negotiated better and I put myself in the right rooms with the right people, work the whole process, right? And that ends up in more money. I will say that. I'm an advocate for making what you should. Don't leave any money on the table. A $10,000 increase is only $800 plus a month. go for the money because they have the money to pay. And you've put so much into what you bring to them, from skills, from life, from, missing family time. You're putting a lot into the company. So negotiate hard. So that brings me to the end. But these 5 steps, if you do them in sequence, don't miss, get feedback from people. Continue to look at your resume because it can always be tweaked. I've seen resumes done by professionals and I'm like, oh my gosh. So, seek out a professional to hone your process and how you come across. And that brings me to the end of my presentation. And I just want to say thank you for the opportunity to share. There's so much here, but stay hopeful. Throughout my job search since November, I'm getting fractional roles. I'm getting both consulting roles and coaching roles. Think expansively and don't search for a job all because it wears you out, right? If you search for a job 10 hours a day, it's not going to get you. It's like diminishing returns. Come at it when you're fresh. Network. It's all about the people. And thank you. I appreciate the opportunity to share today.
Could you, before you switch back, can you just show your last slide, please, again?
Okay. Hold on a second.
Sorry. Thank you. Just give me a second.
Okay. And
Good,
these,
thank you very much.
Yeah, I'll make these slides available for everybody. I can give them to you, Adam, if people want them.
You're muted.
Yeah.
Adam.
There we go. Thank you. I was wondering why nobody was hearing me. Thank you, Cheryl. That was a wonderful presentation. I was taking copious notes. We are now going, Jimmy, go ahead and stop recording, and we're going to go into the Q&A session.